On the edge of Hollow Grove, an ancient forest loomed. Its branches reached up into the night sky like skeletal fingers. Legend had it that this forest was haunted by specters and other eerie phenomena. But our curiosity outweighed our fear, so my friends and I decided to explore the mysteries of this forest. Late one summer night, armed with flashlights and a thrill-seeking spirit, we ventured into the heart of Hollow Grove. The moon cast an ethereal glow through the dense canopy. Our laughter echoed through the winding pathways. As the clock approached midnight, a unique hush enveloped the forest. The rustling of leaves quieted, and an indescribable chill filled the air. Still, we walked on, guided by the dim light of our flashlights, which danced nervously over the old trees. The pulse of the forest seemed to quicken as we approached a clearing called Whispering Hollow. Legend had it that this was a place where the ancient spirits of the trees communicated, their whispers carried on the night wind. As we stood in the center of the enigmatic grove, we were filled with excitement. It began with a faint murmur. It was a symphony of whispers that seemed to emanate from the trees themselves. Our flashlights flickered and elongated shadows danced to the eerie rhythm of the whispers. An air of disquiet enveloped us, but an unseen force kept us here. As the whispers intensified, the air thickened with an unexplainable energy. Shadows wove indistinct shapes through the moonlit grove. With a mixture of fear and fascination, we were witnesses to a specter's performance. In the whispering shadows, a woman with eyes reflecting the silvery glow of the moon appeared. Her ethereal presence seemed to transcend the boundaries of the living world. The whispers grew louder, words that spoke of love, loss, and centuries. Unable to tear our eyes away, we listened to the tale of tragic love unfolding beneath the ancient tree. The forest, the silent witness of centuries of stories, now revealed its secrets to those who were willing to listen. As the clock struck midnight, the whispering reached its climax. The spectral figures disappeared into the shadows, and we were engulfed in stunned silence. The once chilly air now seemed pregnant with mournful echoes. We exchanged glances, trying to make sense of our encounter with the specter that had unfolded in Hollow Grove. Hesitantly, we turned back down the path through the woods. The moonlight that had once guided our way now seemed to cast slender shadows that danced with the residual energy of the encounter. When we emerged from the forest, it was once again silent, as if the illusory drama had never taken place. Years have passed, but the memory of our late-night encounter at Hollow Grove remains as a testament to the impenetrable mystery that exists at the border between the visible and the invisible. The whispers of the primeval forest, the spectacular performance in the heart of the night, remain etched in the memories of those who dared to tread the mysterious paths of Hollow Grove. On the outskirts of town, under the cover of darkness, lay the decaying ruins of the Hollowhurst Mental Hospital. As midnight approached, my friends, driven by curiosity and fear, decided to unravel the mystery hidden within its rotting walls. As we approached the asylum, our flashlights illuminating the night, the air was heavy with a damp chill. The moon was hidden by a tapestry of clouds, but it cast intermittent light on the shattered windows and crumbling bricks. The silhouette of the asylum was like a sentinel guarding the secrets of the past. The entrance, marked by a rusted gate, creaked open as we entered the eerie embrace of the asylum. The subfloor echoed with the sound of our cautious footsteps, resonating with the ghosts of a bygone era. The air was filled with the musty scent of decay and silence. Dim rays of light danced across the graffiti-laden walls decorated with cryptic symbols and forgotten messages of sanity. Each step seemed to echo the whispers of the former inmates, their anguished voices lingering in the shadows like phantoms. We were drawn forward into the desolate heart of the asylum. As we entered the vast halls, the night took on an otherworldly hue, reflecting the remnants of shattered glass. A cold wind blew through the corridors, carrying the phantom moans of the long dead. Our flashlights flickered and cast eerie shadows. It was a padded cell adorned with tattered restraints and an antiquated bed frame. The air in the room was heavy with the lingering despair of those who had once been trapped in its suffocation. Suddenly, a noise shattered the silence. It was a distant rustle like the hesitant footsteps of a specter. We exchanged anxious glances and felt the heaviness of our surroundings. This asylum, once a refuge for the insane, now echoed with the echoes of anguished souls. Further in, we discovered a hidden staircase leading to the basement of the asylum. As we descended, the air grew colder and the weight of the past pressed down on us. The darkness seemed to swallow up our feeble attempts to illuminate the abyss. In the darkness of the basement, we came upon a number of cramped cells. One cell in particular contained the remnants of a crude painting, a testament to the split mind that sought solace in art during its descent into madness. The whispers grew more intense as we moved deeper in, a cacophony of fragmented memories and half-hearted screams. Shadows flickered on the walls, their distorted shapes reflecting the asylum's descent into chaos. The veil between the living and the departed seemed to waver in the depths of the basement. At the center of the labyrinth, we discovered a room bathed in unnatural light. In the flickering light, we saw an array of artifacts, straitjackets, rusty syringes, and faded patient records. The weight of forgotten names and unspoken atrocities echoed through the room. As we gazed at the artifacts, a sudden gust of wind blew out our flashlights. Darkness enveloped us, and the forgotten inhabitants of the asylum seemed to stir. Whispers turned to cries of anguish and echoed through the basement room. Panicked, we struggled to relight our flashlights. A phantom nurse appeared, gliding through the darkness. Her eyes were vacant and depressed, bearing the eternal weight of an eternity spent caring for those in agony. The nurse reached out her hand, and the air was enveloped in an otherworldly energy. As the apparition faded into the shadows, we staggered back to Earth, haunted by the chilling encounter. The asylum, once a crucible of suffering, stood as a ghostly monument to the fragility of sanity. The night air outside was heavy with the grimness of the past, but I felt free of the bewitching whirlpool inside. Straddling the threshold, the rusted gates of the asylum creaked shut, sealing the horror within its rotting walls. The moon cast a wisp of light on the desolate structure, and we turned back into the night. The midnight descent into the forgotten asylum was a journey that transcended the boundaries of time and sanity. On the outskirts of a forgotten town, there were the remains of the Greenwood Carnival. In its heyday, the place was filled with the laughter of children and the lively melodies of the carnival. In its heyday, the place echoed with the laughter of children and the lilting melodies of the carnival. Now, faded banners and dilapidated vehicles stand as silent sentinels, testifying to the passage of time. Attracted by the specter sightings, my friends and I embarked on a late-night expedition to unravel the mysteries hidden in the crumbling infrastructure. The moon hung low in the sky as we approached the rusted gate, a creaking sound that signaled our entry into the desolate realm of the carnival. Our flashlights cut through the jet blackness, revealing a surreal landscape frozen in the eerie ruins. The air was tinged with the scent of rust and decay, a testament to the weight of the carnival's forgotten gaiety. Our journey began with a Ferris wheel that loomed like a ghost in the night sky. Its creaking hinges seemed to harmonize with the melancholic whisper of the wind. As we climbed the rusted stairs, a barely audible distant melody reached our ears. From the top of the Ferris wheel, we looked out over the carnival grounds. The dilapidated rides were lit by moonlight, creating an otherworldly atmosphere. The paint was peeling, and the faded rides looked like remnants of a bygone celebration. The merry-go-round stood as if time had stood still, and the motionless horses held the memories of their former riders. We got off the Ferris wheel and headed toward the heart of the carnival. The air was filled with an indescribable energy, as if the spirits of the past were waiting to tell their bewitching tale. As we approached the merry-go-round, the once vibrant lights flickered on and off, casting a surreal light on the deserted scene. The horses, frozen in their eternal gallop, began to come alive like specters. The ghostly melody grew more intense, drawing us into the heart of the midnight feast. A ghost train covered in cobwebs beckoned us with its otherworldly charm. We reluctantly boarded, and the creaking wheels carried us into a dimly lit tunnel of memories. Flickering lanterns illuminated the joyous and merry scene, as if the souls of carnival goers were reenacting the festivities for an unseen audience. When the ghost train rumbled to a halt, we were at the entrance to a forgotten funhouse. We entered the neon sign flickering in the doorway, not knowing what awaited us. The funhouse was a maze of distorted mirrors and echoing laughter. Phantom footsteps echoed rhythmically through the maze of passageways. Shadows danced on the walls, reflecting the invisible dancers of the midnight carnival that continued beyond the veil of the living. At the center of the funhouse was a mirrored room where reality and illusion intersected. Reflections revealed ghostly apparitions, their faces frozen in eternal joy. The air was bewitched, and the boundary between the living and the ghostly blurred. As we left the funhouse, the specter of the carnival seemed to have reached its peak. The once silent rides were now filled with the joyful laughter of unseen revelers. The Ferris wheel spun, the carousel whirled, and the ghost train sped through its midnight journey. At the height of the midnight revelry, a ringmaster in a tattered coat and ethereal hat appeared in the center of the carnival grounds. His outstretched arms seemed to conduct a ghostly orchestra, directing the invisible performers in ghostly dances. As the clock struck midnight, the carnival apparition vanished and the air returned to a somber stillness. The rides had quieted down and the moonlit landscape had regained its desolate beauty. We stood amidst the ghostly remnants of the festivities, forever etched by the midnight revelry of the ruined carnival. In the heart of Ashton Woods, where the moonlight is dense and thick, my friends and I embarked on a midnight adventure. It was an ancient realm where trees witnessed untold stories and spirits wandered in the shadows. Flashlight in hand, we plunged into the obsidian depths. Our journey began with the rustle of leaves underfoot and the soft rustle of the wind blowing through the leaves. The air was filled with the scent of earth and pine and was charged with an energy that was hard to describe. As we moved deeper into the forest was enveloped in an otherworldly darkness, and the flickering light of our flashlights revealed gnarled tree roots writhing like ancient serpents beneath the forest floor. Shadows bewitched our senses, and the line between reality and imagination blurred in the moonlit haze. Whispering Woods lived up to its name, the wind whispering through the leaves in an ethereal chorus that seemed to tell a forgotten story of this land. The ancient trees, their branches intertwined like bewitching fingers, seemed to reach out to us, silently inviting us to join them. We walked on, drawn by an unseen force that tugged at the edges of our curiosity. In the maze of paths, we came upon a sacred space where moonlight filtered through the canopy like silver thread. In the center was a stone altar, weathered by the years and inscribed with enigmatic symbols. It felt like the center of Whispering Woods, a place where the ordinary and the mysterious intersect. As I approached the altar, the air thickened with an unspoken presence. Shadows danced around the periphery of our vision, and the woods seemed to glow alive with invisible eyes. We exchanged anxious glances and felt the boundaries between spectator and participant in this midnight drama blurring more and more. Its massive trunk was carved to tell the story of a forgotten civilization. The bark seemed to pulse with ancient energy, and our hands touched its rough surface, guided by an unseen force. At that moment, our minds were filled with images of rituals, festivals, and countless footprints tramping through the forest. As we continued our journey, the forest unfolded like a secret tapestry. The moonlight shining through the interweaving branches created intricate patterns on the forest floor. Shadows morphed into fleeting illusions, and the air resonated with the echoes of conversations that had passed. Deep into Whispering Woods, I found a pond that reflected the starry sky like a mirror. Peering into the bottom of the pond, the surface of the water seemed to ripple with the movement of something unseen. From the surface of the water emanated a whisper of ancient confessional weight and the laughter of spirits dancing on the edge of our perception. The journey culminated in the Heartwood, a massive tree that stood as a sentinel in the heart of the whispering forest. Its roots burrowed deep into the earth, carrying the life force of the forest in their veins. Its bark bore the markings of an ancient language, and when we touched it, the tree seemed to awaken, resonating with a powerful energy that transcended the boundaries of the natural world. As the clock struck midnight, the Heartwood pulsed with an otherworldly glow, and the forest came alive with the whispers of the ancients. Shadows coalesced into ghostly figures, and the air shimmered with an invisible force. As if time itself had stopped, we witnessed the past, present, and future merging within the sacred space of the whispering forest. As we exited the woods, moonlight shone through the branches one last time, casting a silvery glow on the path behind us. Whispering Woods was once again silent, but its secrets were imprinted on our souls. We emerged from our midnight encounter forever changed, carrying with us echoes of the unseen. It is a testament to the mysterious allure of the primeval forest and the stories shared under the cover of darkness. With its imposing facade and ivy-covered walls, the Eldridge Manor stood like a silent sentinel of a bygone era. The manor, shrouded in mystery and tales of the supernatural, had long been the subject of much speculation among the locals. One moonlit evening, curiosity drove a group of friends, including myself, to a midnight séance in the hallowed halls of Eldridge Manor. As we approached the manor, an eerie silence enveloped us, its windows like empty eyes peering into the night. The imposing iron gates creaked open as if to welcome us into the mystery that was Eldridge Manor. Moonlight illuminated the courtyard, casting slender shadows that seemed to dance with invisible energy. With flickering candles and an old Ouija board in hand, we entered the grand foyer. The air was heavy with the weight of time and untold stories. Particles of dust floated in the moonlight, and the grand staircase loomed before us like a doorway for ghosts. Our séance began in a dimly lit parlor. It was a luxurious space decorated with antique furniture and faded tapestries. The Ouija board, its wooden planchette barely visible in the darkness, sat on an intricately carved table. As we gathered, the atmosphere was thick with a mixture of anticipation and anxiety, a foreboding of an otherworldly encounter. Guided by invisible forces, the planchette began to move with subtle energy. The room seemed to exhale a bewitching breath as we came into contact with beings from beyond. Whispers permeated the air, carrying messages that blurred the lines between the living and the deceased. The séance led us to a specific message, the name inscribed on the planchette's journey, Eleanor Eldridge, supposedly a woman of the manor centuries ago. Intrigued, we delved further into the history of Eldridge Manor, revealing a story of forbidden love, tragedy, and a life cut short. Stepping into the manor's cloister, we were enveloped in an otherworldly atmosphere. Shadows flickered on the walls, and distant murmurs echoed in the empty halls. Our flashlights cast an erratic glow, a glimpse into the world of the specters that seemed to coexist with our world. In the grand banquet hall, the remnants of a bygone feast played a bewitching waltz as if time had stopped. Phantom music and the rustle of ethereal dresses echoed throughout the room. We had unwittingly become spectators to a ghostly soiree where spirits of the past danced gracefully for all eternity. The séance led us to a hidden room, a forgotten library where ancient books whispered forgotten knowledge. Dusty books revealed the manor's dark history, revealing tales of lost possessions, tragic affairs, and curses that bind the Eldridge lineage to the world of specters. The air grew cold as he unraveled the threads of the manor's cursed legacy. In the master bedroom, where the spirits of the star-crossed lovers are said to abide, the atmosphere was filled with sadness. The antique mirrors seemed to reflect the facets of a bygone era, revealing the specters entwined in a tragic dance. Through the mirror's haunted gaze, the lover's tale unfolded, casting a spell of melancholy over the room. As midnight approached, we gathered in the chapel of the manor. This chapel was a sacred space filled with an atmosphere of divinity and desolation. As the candles flickered, we made spiritual calls and sought communion with the spirits. The air pulsed with invisible energy, and the stained glass windows of the chapel seemed to glow with bewitching hues. In response to our entreaties, a shadowy figure appeared before the altar. Her eyes, filled with sorrow, crossed the boundary between the living and the departed, and overlapped with ours. The room shivered with a spectral energy, and the temperature dropped as a ghostly figure delivered a silent message. As we said goodbye to the Eldridge Manor, a mixture of gratitude and awe filled the air. The history of the manor, as revealed through the séance, wove a tapestry of bewitching stories that transcended the boundaries of time. Behind us, the iron gates creaked shut, sealing the secrets within the cursed embrace of Eldridge Manor. The moon hung high in the sky, casting a silvery light on the ivy-covered walls of the manor. It was a testament to the haunting beauty of Eldridge Manor and the midnight séance that brought its ghostly inhabitants to life. Silent Lake, nestled in an ancient forest, was an eternal mystery. As night fell, my companions and I, driven by curiosity and fear, set out on a nighttime expedition to unravel the mysteries of Silent Lake. The moon cast an ethereal glow on the lake's surface, and the lake's surface rippled like a silvery liquid. A towering pine forest surrounded us, its shadows dancing in rhythmic rhythm with the evening breeze. We followed the narrow path, our flashlights cutting through the darkness like blades of light. When we reached the water's edge, a palpable stillness enveloped us. Waiting for us on the shore was a weathered rowboat. Its oars sank into the mirror-like surface of the lake, creating concentric ripples that seemed to resonate with the lake's secrets. We embarked on a journey across the still waters. The only sound was that of the waves lapping against the boat's hull. Midnight came like a velvet curtain, and the lake became pitch black. As we moved toward the center of the lake, the air grew colder and an otherworldly silence enveloped the boat. As we approached the center of Silent Lake, the moon's reflection distorted the view, creating an otherworldly scene. This is where the whispers began. The lake seemed to exhale ancient secrets, and the rhythmic lulls of the boats added to the surreal atmosphere. When illuminated with a flashlight, the submerged ruins emerged. Remnants of a forgotten civilization lurked beneath the surface of the lake, their silent echoes echoing in the water. It was as if the stones in the water wanted to tell a story of the past. A ghostly figure in flowing robes appeared at the edge of the boat. The ghostly figure, the guardian of the sunken city, extended a glowing hand toward us. The air thickened with anticipation and a quiet understanding of the communion between the living and the ghostly. As the boat drifted through the submerged ruins, the whispers grew in intensity. The ghostly figure led us to a monumental arch, an ancient gateway adorned with symbols that seemed to transcend linguistic boundaries. Whispers became the language of the specter, a haunting dialogue that conveyed the untold history of the lake's aquatic realm. An amphitheater appeared in the center of the sunken city, a gathering place for ghostly apparitions. The sound of forgotten laughter and ethereal footsteps echoed through the air. It is a reenactment of a bygone era, played out in an eerie silence. A submerged library emerges, its shelves lined with ghostly books chronicling the lake's mysterious history. Touching the ghostly manuscripts, a vision of a time when the lake was a sacred nexus unfolds. Its whispers conveyed the sorrow of a civilization lost to the abyss, leaving only echoes as proof of its existence. The boat carried us to the edge of the lake, concluding our ghostly stay. The ghostly figure lost its luster and bade us farewell. The whispers continued as we returned to the shore, and we were enveloped in the profound sensation that we had glimpsed an ethereal tapestry woven deep within the silent lake. As dawn turned, the horizon rose in gold. We departed, haunted by the haunting echoes of our bewitching encounter. Silent Lake, with only a few of its secrets revealed, became a testament to the enigmatic realm that exists beyond the veil of our understanding. On the outskirts of a forgotten village, a cursed mill stands as a decaying monument to an era buried in time. Locals spoke of ghostly sightings and eerie echoes echoing through its decaying halls. Intrigued by the whispers of the paranormal, my friends and I set out on a moonlit expedition. As we approached the mill, the moon hung low in the ink-black sky, creaking like a worn blade playing a bewitching symphony. The air had the chill of a forgotten winter, and the shadows seemed to dance with invisible energy. As I stepped through the threshold into the factory, a deep hush settled over the dilapidated building, and only the distant hoot of an owl could be heard. The interior was shrouded in darkness, illuminated only by the weak light of our flashlights. Decaying machinery lay dormant, frozen in time like a macabre tableau. The air inside the factory was dusty, and the smell of age-old wood mingled with the musty odor of ruin. It was as if the very nature of this factory was a reverberating echo of the industrial past. Guided by the flickering light and morbid curiosity, we made our way deeper. The wooden floor creaked under our weight, each sound amplified by the oppressive silence. As we approached the center of the factory, an ominous groan echoed through the factory's framework. In the gloom, we came upon a series of faded photographs. Their weary faces seemed to stare at us from the past. It was as if the walls themselves were lamenting the lives lived and lost in these abandoned halls. As we continued our exploration, an ethereal breeze rustled through the desolate corridors. Invisible footsteps echoed all around us, seeming to follow our every move. The cursed legacy of the factory spread out like an ancient scroll, telling tales of accidents, curses, and the lingering anguish of those who had met unfortunate fates in the relentless machinery. The long, silent machine seemed to stir with a spiritual energy. A ghostly apparition appeared. Their translucent forms reflected the mechanical rhythms of the distant past. The factory seemed to leave behind not only the reverberations of physical machinery, but also the ghosts of its workers. Ghostly lamentations pierced the air, resonating with the dark secrets of the factory. According to legend, the factory is cursed by a malevolent force that interrupts its slumber, forcing those who enter the factory to make sacrifices. The air was filled with an otherworldly atmosphere, and the temperature plummeted as if the spirits of the factory were casting a bewitching gaze upon us. In the basement of the factory, we discovered a hidden room. It was a forgotten sanctuary decorated with cryptic symbols. The walls bore the marks of a desperate attempt to drive the curse away. As we touched the cold stone, visions of ghostly rituals unfolded. As we approached the attic, a sudden chill enveloped us. Fearfully, we opened the door and found ourselves in a space where time had stood still. Dusty relics and forgotten artifacts were scattered about, each one telling a story of a bygone era. In the center stood an old loom, its threads seeming to weave the ethereal echoes of a bewitched weaver. As midnight approached, we gathered in the center of the mill. The air buzzed with otherworldly resonance, and spectral shadows floated on the walls in a cosmic dance. We held a seance and invoked the spirits. Whispers filled the air and fragments of ghostly conversations were transmitted. Temperatures fluctuated and ghostly beings appeared. Visions of the cursed founder of this factory appeared. The room resonated with a spiritual dialogue, and the agonizing history of the factory unfolded like a tapestry of ghosts. When the seance ended, the spectral figures retreated, and we were enveloped in a profound sense of communion with the otherworldly inhabitants of the factory. In the pre-dawn silence, we exited the decaying building. In the pre-dawn stillness, the time-worn blades were silent. The factory was in ruins, but it stood as a ghostly sentinel, a treasure trove of echoes that transcended the boundaries of time. As we left the factory, it exhaled a bewitching breath, leaving a bewitching whisper in the night sky. The haunted factory was woven into our own story, leaving behind an anguished past and lingering echoes.